Mr. Montgomery, State Representative Stones, State Representative Clark, Colonel Efflandt, distinguished troopers, family and friends, Command Sergeant Major Stevens. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Commanding General, 1st Infantry Division and Fort Riley, Major General Wayne W. Grigsby Jr. and the 1st Infantry Division in Fort Riley, Command Sergeant Major Joseph C. Cornelison, welcome to the July retirement ceremony. Each month, a ceremony is held to honor our military personnel who have served their country distinctions. Serving as the official party for today's ceremony is the Deputy Commanding Officer for Maneuver, 1st Infantry Division in Fort Riley, Colonel Scott L. Efflandt, and the DeVarty Command Sergeant Major, Command Sergeant Major Jonathan D. Stevens. Units from left to right, represented by their colors, are the 1st Armored Brigade Combat Team, 1st Infantry Division. The 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team, 1st Infantry Division. The Combat Aviation Brigade, 1st Infantry Division. The Division Artillery, 1st Infantry Division. The Sustainment Brigade, 1st Infantry Division. The installation and partner units are comprised of the United States Army Garrison, the Medical Activity Fort Riley, the Dental Activity Fort Riley. After years of commendable service to their country, every career soldier comes to a time when they put aside their duty uniform and retire, either to a new profession or a well-deserved rest. In today's ceremony, the men and women of the 1st Infantry Division and Fort Riley will pay tribute to these retirees and their families who have helped ensure the defense of this great nation during the most monumentous period of its history. We ask that you please stand for the invocation given by the 1st Infantry Division Deputy Chaplain, Chaplain Christian L. Goza, and remain standing for the arrival of the official party and playing of the national anthem in the 1st Infantry Division Band under the direction of Sergeant First Class William Knight.
Please pray with me. Thank you, Father, for the grace you give us to pursue our life's dreams. Thank you, Father, for this country, that we may serve her for many years and pass the torch of Army values that past generations have given to us. Go before these retirees and their families to give them a peace about their new chapter in life. Lord, be with these soldiers and families as they begin this new chapter and help them to build upon the values the Army has instilled in them. Help them to stand tall in all that they have accomplished, and may we say to them today, as you say to us, well done, thou good and faithful servant. In your name I pray, amen. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, the Deputy Commanding Officer for Maneuver, 1st Infantry Division and Fort Riley, Colonel Scott L. Efflandt.
That's pretty gracious of you, since none of you have known me because I've only been here 4 days. So thank you for that Midwest hospitality. I appreciate it. Distinguished guests such as Mr. Montgomery and Mr. Clark, soldiers, civilians, family, friends of Fort Riley and the surrounding communities of the greater Flint Hill areas, good morning and thank you for joining us today to honor these great Americans on the occasion of their retirement. Can you all hear me in the back? Okay. If not, please come forward to the empty seats because this is all I got. The good news is, if you hear a high-pitched whine, it's not feedback, it's a tornado warning, so pay attention. As the new 1st Division Deputy Commander, I am honored and privileged to stand here and represent General Grigsby and to say thank you to those present today, all of you, for your honored service and commitment to the nation. And I mean all those in this audience, because by your virtue of being here means you care and you're invested in our armed services. Each of you should take pride and satisfaction knowing that your dedication, loyalty, and sacrifices as a member of the Army team in some capacity has directly and indirectly contributed to the security and freedom of our country and the world. We couldn't do it without all of you. But today specifically we gather to honor the 14 retirees for their devotion to our nation as evidenced by service in the Army in general and at Fort Riley community in particular. They have collectively devoted more than 295 years of service in the profession of arms. That's an average of more than 21 years per person. Clearly, this group that's with us today routinely exceeds the standards. Of note and not forgotten, and may it be remembered in history, that the group that leaves us today have spent almost half their career with the nation at war and the heavy burden placed upon the Army to protect the nation. Retirement ceremonies are often seen as bittersweet occasions. Of course, we're happy for each individual and share with them in celebrating memories and accomplishments as they've reached this big, important life milestone. At the same time, we also recognize that this collective body of knowledge and experience is significant and cannot easily be replaced. But most importantly, we realize that today we also say goodbye to our friends, our confidants, and our neighbors. The retirees before you today, shortly, have stepped up to the challenge of being a soldier and assumed a variety of key and progressive leadership roles as they developed others and served as role models for peers, and subordinates. There is no doubt that through their leadership, dedication, and duty, the honored soldiers on the occasion of their retirement, I convey my thanks and the appreciation of the division commander and sergeant major for what they have done to ensure the training and development of our soldiers. Their work in this area will guarantee the continued success of the Army. Ladies and gentlemen, the individuals before you, I'm sorry, they're not before you, the individuals that will be in front of you shortly have served our nation and the Army nobly and selflessly and have been an integral part of what makes our nation great and the Army the premier institution in the world. Let's give them a round of applause. At the same time that we recognize these individuals, we would be remiss if we also failed to recognize probably the single most influential and hardest working group that enabled the success of these retirees. That's their families. The families have also answered the call of service to our nation through their steadfast support and countless unrecognized sacrifices. There is no doubt to me that the family has played many significant and pivotal roles during the course of each retiree's career. It's the family that has been the sounding board, the advisor, the counselor, and source of emotional strength, or in other words, the backbone through many difficult assignments. There's late night training problems, PCS moves, deployments, and uncertainty that all surrounds our duties, and it's probably the family that's been the continuity and beacon that's brought all of us through it. I personally want to thank you, the families, for your sacrifice and service. And like we honor the retirees, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a round of applause for the families. Retirees, soldiers, I wish you the best in your future endeavors and adventures. This is the end of one chapter in your life's journey. However, as this chapter ends, the next one is only beginning. As you are about to embark on this next phase, I hope it brings you many rewards. You've earned it. I hope you confront positive challenges and reach a set of contentment that allows you to enjoy everything you've earned. Many of you will return to government service. I applaud that. Some of you will continue your education, and others will spend well-deserved time with families and friends. While this is the start of a new chapter, it is not the end of the book. You are soldiers for life, and as such, I expect each of you to stay connected with our profession, because you'll always be part of that profession. Contribute in your own way, and most importantly, actively join the family in a future position. By the family, I mean this larger family that's here today. In closing, thank you for allowing me to share this momentous event today. My sincerest best wishes to you and your loved ones on this well-deserved occasion. God bless the 1st Division in the U.S. Army. Thank you.
At this time, Command Sergeant Major Stevens will join Colonel Efflandt for the awards portion of the ceremony. Captain Reyes Alvarez is retiring after 24 years of military service. Captain Alvarez is commended for his outstanding service to the nation, culminating with his assignment as Bravo Company Commander, 101st Brigade Support Battalion, 1st Armored Brigade Combat Team, 1st Infantry Division. Captain Alvarez and his wife, Maritza, have 3 children, Leilani, Santos, and Sebastian. The Alvarez family will retire in Mission, Texas, where he plans to become a Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps instructor and to spend as much time with his kids and see them go to college. Today, Captain Alvarez is receiving the Meritorious Service Medal, the Department of the Army Certificate of Retirement, and a Certificate of Appreciation. Although not present, his wife Maritza received the Department of the Army Certificate of Appreciation and a single red rose for her dedication to her husband and the nation. By order of the Secretary of the Army, Captain Reyes Alvarez, having qualified for retirement, is released from active duty and placed on the retired list. Ladies and gentlemen, Captain Reyes Alvarez, retired. Chief Warrant Officer 3, Mandy R. Rimmer, is retiring after 20 years of military service. Chief Warrant Officer 3, Rimmer, is commended for her outstanding service to the nation, culminating with her assignment as the Material Manager, Headquarters and Headquarters Company, Special Troops Battalion, 1st Sustainment Brigade, 1st Infantry Division. Chief Warrant Officer 3, Rimmer, and her husband, Nicholas, have 2 children, Avery and Nicole. The Rimmer family will retire in Manhattan, Kansas, where she plans to continue to support her husband as he prepares for deployment and enjoy quality time with her children. Today, Chief Warrant Officer 3, Mandy R. Rimmer, is receiving the Meritorious Service Medal, the Department of the Army Certificate of Retirement, and a Certificate of Appreciation. Her husband, Nicholas, receives the Department of the Army Certificate of Appreciation. By order of the Secretary of the Army, Chief Warrant Officer 3, Mandy R. Rimmer, having qualified for retirement, is released from active duty and placed on the retired list. Mr. Rimmer. Chief Warrant Officer 3, Sam L. Altamiranov, is retiring after 22 years of service. Chief Warrant Officer 3, Altamiranov, is commended for his outstanding service to the nation, culminating with his assignment as G2 Human Intelligence Collector, Division, Headquarters and Headquarters Battalion, 1st Infantry Division. Chief Warrant Officer 3, Altamiranov, has 2 children, Isabella and Nicole. The Altamiranov family will retire in Junction City, Kansas, where he plans to give more of himself to the ones he loves and continue to give back to the military any way he can. Today, Chief Warrant Officer 3, Altamiranov, is receiving the Meritorious Service Medal, the Department of the Army Certificate of Retirement, and a Certificate of Appreciation. By order of the Secretary of the Army, Chief Warrant Officer 3, Sam L. Altamiranov, having qualified for retirement, is released from active duty and placed on the retired list. Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Warrant Officer 3, Sam L. Altamiranov, retired. Chief Warrant Officer 2, Roderick D. Williams, is retiring after 20 years of military service. Chief Warrant Officer 2, Williams, is commended for his outstanding service to the nation, culminating with his assignment as the Brigade Automotive Maintenance Technician, 24th Transportation Company, 541st Command Sustainment Support Battalion, 1st Sustainment Brigade, 1st Infantry Division. Chief Warrant Officer 2, Williams, and his wife, Sheikah, have 3 children, Sincere, Zariah, and Takaya. The Williams family will retire in Junction City, Kansas, where he plans to enjoy life. Today, Chief Warrant Officer 2, Williams, is receiving the Meritorious Service Medal, the Department of the Army Certificate of Retirement, and Certificate of Appreciation.
Okay, there's no check with that one.
His wife, Sheikah, receives the Department of the Army Certificate of Appreciation and a single red rose for her dedication to her husband and the nation. By order of the Secretary of the Army, Chief Warrant Officer 2, Roderick D. Williams, having qualified for retirement, is released from active duty and placed on the retired list. Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Warrant Officer 2, Roderick D. Williams, retired, and Mrs. Williams. First Sergeant Daniel A. Miller is retiring after 20 years of military service. First Sergeant Miller is commended for his outstanding service to the nation, culminating with his assignment as First Sergeant of Bravo Company's 2nd Battalion, 1st General Support Aviation Battalion, Combat Aviation Brigade, 1st Infantry Division. First Sergeant Miller and his wife, Deanna, have 4 children, Brandon, Caitlin, Kirsten, and Virginia. The Miller family will retire in Orlando, Florida, where he plans to work for the Walt Disney Company. Today, First Sergeant Miller is receiving the Meritorious Service Medal, the Department of the Army Certificate of Retirement, and a Certificate of Appreciation.
There we go.
His wife, Deanna, receives the Department of the Army Certificate of Appreciation and a single red rose for her dedication to her husband and the nation. By order of the Secretary of the Army, First Sergeant Daniel A. Miller, having qualified for retirement, is released from active duty and placed on the retired list. Ladies and gentlemen, First Sergeant Daniel A. Miller, retired, and Mrs. Miller. First Sergeant Jamie L. Schultz is retiring after 21 years of military service. First Sergeant Schultz is commended for his outstanding service to the nation, culminating with his assignment as First Sergeant of Headquarters and Headquarters Battery, 1st Battalion, 5th Artillery Regiment, 1st Armored Brigade Combat Team, 1st Infantry Division. First Sergeant Schultz and his wife, Mary, have 5 children: Brooke, Chase, Maisie, Annalie, and Arthur. The Schultz family will retire in San Diego, California, where he plans to attend California State University, San Marcos, to complete his bachelor's degree in business. Today, First Sergeant Schultz is receiving the Meritorious Service Medal, the Department of the Army Certificate of Retirement, and a Certificate of Appreciation. Although not present, his wife, Marie, receives the Department of the Army Certificate of Appreciation and a single red rose for her dedication to her husband and the nation. By order of the Secretary of the Army, First Sergeant Jamie L. Schultz, having qualified for retirement, is released from active duty and placed on the retired list. Ladies and gentlemen, First Sergeant Jamie L. Schultz, retired. Sergeant First Class Michael A. Munson is retiring after 20 years of military service. Sergeant First Class Munson is commended for his outstanding service to the nation, culminating with his assignment as the non-commissioned officer in charge, Patient Administration, United States Army Medical Department Activity, Fort Riley. Sergeant First Class Munson has 3 children, India, Micah, and Jacob. The Munson family will retire in San Antonio, Texas, where he plans to pursue a degree in emergency management planning. Today, Sergeant First Class Munson is receiving the Meritorious Service Medal, the Department of the Army Certificate of Retirement, and a Certificate of Appreciation. By order of the Secretary of the Army, Sergeant First Class Michael A. Munson, having qualified for retirement, is released from active duty and placed on the retired list. Ladies and gentlemen, Sergeant First Class Michael A. Munson, retired. Sergeant First Class Darrell E. Wright is retiring after 26 years of military service. Sergeant First Class Wright is commended for his outstanding service to the nation, culminating with his assignment as the S6 non-commissioned officer in charge, Headquarters and Headquarters Company, Special Troops Battalion, 1st Sustainment Brigade, 1st Infantry Division. Sergeant First Class Wright and his wife, Cherie, have 2 children, Chelsea and Shane. The Wright family will retire in Olathe, Kansas, where he plans to return to college and pursue a degree in the logistics field. Today, Sergeant First Class Wright is receiving the Meritorious Service Medal, the Department of the Army Certificate of Retirement, and a Certificate of Appreciation.
This is your certificate of the right for recall.
His wife, Cherie, receives the Department of the Army Certificate of Appreciation and a single red rose for her dedication to her husband and the nation. By order of the Secretary of the Army, Sergeant First Class Darrell E. Wright, having qualified for retirement, is released from active duty and placed on the retired list.
Okay, now wait, pause. You gotta regroup. Wait a minute. Here at the center, with your wife. No, you the man of honor. Okay, the rest of the tribe, fill in. You only get to do this once, so make sure that you can see the front of the camera.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sergeant First Class Darrell E. Wright, retired, and Mrs. Wright. Sergeant First Class Damon K. McCullough is retiring after 20 years of military service. Sergeant First Class McCullough is commended for his outstanding service to the nation, culminating with his assignment as Truckmaster, Alpha Company, 299th Brigade Support Battalion, 2nd Armor Brigade Combat Team, 1st Infantry Division. Sergeant First Class McCullough has one child, Kayla. Sergeant First Class McCullough will retire in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, where he plans to pursue a degree in business management, then open a Scottish pub. Today, Sergeant First Class McCullough is receiving the Meritorious Service Medal, the Department of the Army Certificate of Retirement, and Certificate of Appreciation. By order of the Secretary of the Army, Sergeant First Class Damon K. McCullough, having qualified for retirement, is released from active duty and placed on the retired list. Ladies and gentlemen, Sergeant First Class Damon K. McCullough, retired. Staff Sergeant James D. Evans IV is retiring after 20 years of military service. Staff Sergeant Evans IV is commended for his outstanding service to the nation, culminating with his assignment as the battalion school's non-commissioned officer, 1st Battalion, 7th Field Artillery Regiment, 2nd Armored Brigade Combat Team, 1st Infantry Division. Staff Sergeant Evans and his wife, Lindsay, have 4 children, Tamia, James, Jaden, and Lennox. The Evans family will retire in Topeka, Kansas, where he plans to work in the safety field while completing his bachelor's degree in occupational safety and health. Today, Staff Sergeant Evans is receiving the Meritorious Service Medal, the Department of the Army Certificate of Retirement, and a Certificate of Appreciation. His wife, Lindsay, receives the Department of the Army Certificate of Appreciation and a single red rose for her dedication to her husband and the nation. By order of the Secretary of the Army, Staff Sergeant James D. Evans IV, having qualified for retirement, is released from active duty and placed on the retired list. Ladies and gentlemen, Staff Sergeant James D. Evans IV, retired, and Mrs. Evans.
If Frank Dawson wants to take pictures, we'll do that. Kodak moment, 21 years in the making.
Staff Sergeant Wazir Muhammad is retiring after 23 years of military service. Staff Sergeant Muhammad is commended for his outstanding service to the nation, culminating with his assignment as a construction supervisor, 70th Brigade Engineer Battalion, 1st Stryker Brigade Combat Team, 20th Infantry Division, Fort Wainwright, Alaska. Staff Sergeant Muhammad and his wife, Naomi, have 3 children, Byron, Kevin, Lydia, and 1 grandson, Keegan. The Muhammad family will retire in Leonardville, Kansas, where he plans to do a lot of hunting, fishing, range shooting, and fix his automobiles. Today, Staff Sergeant Muhammad is receiving the Army Commendation Medal, the Department of the Army Certificate of Retirement, and Certificate of Appreciation. His wife, Naomi, receives the Department of the Army Certificate of Appreciation and a single red rose for her dedication to her husband and the nation. By order of the Secretary of the Army, Staff Sergeant Wazir Muhammad, having qualified for retirement, is released from active duty and placed on the retired list. Ladies and gentlemen, Staff Sergeant Wazir Muhammad, retired, and Mrs. Muhammad. Staff Sergeant Sammy Gonzalez, Jr. is retiring after 20 years of military service. Staff Sergeant Gonzalez is commended for his outstanding service to the nation, culminating with his assignment as Platoon Sergeant, 526th Quartermaster Company, 541st Combat Sustainment Support Battalion, 1st Sustainment Brigade, 1st Infantry Division. Staff Sergeant Gonzalez and his wife, Cleotilde, have 1 child, Ariana. The Gonzalez family will retire in Killeen, Texas, where he plans to continue to support the military as a civilian safety and health inspector. Today, Staff Sergeant Sammy Gonzalez, Jr. is receiving the Meritorious Service Medal, the Department of the Army Certificate of Retirement, and a Certificate of Appreciation. His wife, Cleotilde, receives the Department of the Army Certificate of Appreciation and a single red rose for her dedication to her husband and the nation. By order of the Secretary of the Army, Staff Sergeant Sammy Gonzalez, Jr., having qualified for retirement, is released from active duty and placed on the retired list. Ladies and gentlemen, Staff Sergeant Sammy Gonzalez, Jr., retired, and Mrs. Gonzalez. Sergeant Kevin L. Cordray is retiring after 20 years of military service. Sergeant Cordray is commended for his outstanding service to the nation, culminating with his assignment as a senior mechanic, Echo Company, 1st Engineer Battalion, 1st Armor Brigade Combat Team, 1st Infantry Division. Sergeant Cordray and his wife, Rochelle, have 2 children, Kylie and Chelsea. The Cordray family will retire in Wakefield, Kansas, where he plans to further his education and stay active as a volunteer firefighter and enjoy spending time with his family. Today, Sergeant Kevin L. Cordray is receiving the Meritorious Service Medal, the Department of the Army Certificate of Retirement, and a Certificate of Appreciation. His wife, Rochelle, receives the Department of the Army Certificate of Appreciation and a single red rose for her dedication to her husband and the nation. By order of the Secretary of the Army, Sergeant Kevin L. Cordray, having qualified for retirement, is released from active duty and placed on the retired list. Ladies and gentlemen, Sergeant Kevin L. Cordray, retired, and Mrs. Cordray. Our final retiree that we honor today is Sergeant Alfonso E. Harvey, who's retiring after 20 years of military service. Sergeant Harvey is commended for his outstanding service to the nation, culminating with his assignment as the Culinary Supervisor, Fox Company, 1st Battalion, 7th Field Artillery Regiment, 2nd Armor Brigade Combat Team, 1st Infantry Division. Sergeant Harvey has 1 child, Cheyenne. The Harvey family will retire in Houston, Texas, where he plans to work as an armed security guard and mentor young men to be happy, successful citizens. Today, Sergeant Harvey is receiving the Army Commendation Medal, the Department of the Army Certificate of Retirement, and a Certificate of Appreciation. By order of the Secretary of the Army, Sergeant Alfonso E. Harvey, having qualified for retirement, is released from active duty and placed on the retired list. Ladies and gentlemen, Sergeant Alfonso E. Harvey, retired. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in a round of applause for all the retirees on a job well done. Please be seated. 2 songs will now be performed. Old Soldiers Never Die and Old Lang Syne, as a tribute to our retirees. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the playing and singing of the Big Red One song and the Army song. The words are printed in your program. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the ceremony. Thank you for attending. The retirees and their spouses will form a receiving line to your front. Please wait until they are all in position before you coming forward to offer your congratulations. A reception will be hosted by the Fort Riley and Central Kansas chapter of the Association of the United States Army will take place immediately following the ceremony.